It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here is WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Rick Leader. He's executive director of the Scenic Rivers Land Trust. Also one of his board members and a friend of mine, Scott MacMullan. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome. How you doing, Donna?
I am awesome. So you, Scenic Rivers Land Trust, it's a very important nonprofit in Anne Arundel County because your mission is to do what, Rick?
We're here to preserve land, and since 1988, we've been preserving land in Anne Arundel County. And 62 properties protected, over 2,000 acres.
Oh my gosh, well thank you for doing that. And this is important because we want open space, we want green space, we don't want parking lots filling Anne Arundel County for years to come, correct?
We want room for us to wander around, we want room for wildlife to wander around, and we also want the benefits that all those trees provide. So we want to see it protected.
And why is this so important from an ecological standpoint? People might understand that, yes, we like to walk around in fields and see green space, but why is it so important with us being right here on the side of the Chesapeake Bay?
Well, we always start with the quality of life. You want to get out there and you exercise and you want to be healthy. But we also benefit from the wildlife being healthy and for the trees and the meadows to be healthy because they provide services to us. They filter the water, they cool the air, they make us happier and they make us healthier.
And they really do. Scott, you grew up, are you both from the area originally?
I'm actually a Cecil County boy.
Okay, we're not going to hold that against you.
So
Cecil
don't
County,
hold that against me.
horse country. I love Cecil County. Scott,
Yes.
you grew up here.
Yes, I'm a hometown, born and raised in Annapolis, and I grew up on the Chesapeake Bay. Grew up using my old aqua sport and sailing on the Chesapeake Bay, and seeing the trees back then. It's changed a little bit, and I think it's so important for organizations like the Scenic Rivers Land Trust to preserve it, because if you preserve the trees are so interconnected with the Chesapeake Bay. They filter a lot of things with the Chesapeake Bay, and they help us so much. And of course, as we know, the Chesapeake Bay has a lot of economic health, and it just really is important to our community. So,
economically, yes,
yeah.
For our quality of life, for the quality of life of, for instance, the two ospreys that I look at every day when I drive into WNAV, just so much. It's nonstop. And the other part of this is, I think back to the flood that recently happened in Ellicott City. And there were others before that. And one of the reasons that a lot of people pointed to was the development above Ellicott City that tore down trees. And without those trees, then you did not have the buffer for the water to be absorbed. Yes, Rick?
Yeah, we've got hundreds of miles of little streams in the forest of Anne Arundel County. That is the most cost-effective stormwater control you could possibly have, much less all that wildlife habitat that it provides.
So while we need schools and we need shopping centers and we need parking lots and we need all the other development and places to live, we also need, there is going to come a time when there's too much of it, if it's not already now, right?
Well, and I think I like the way you put that, because we are not anti-development. We all want to live in nice houses. We all want to live in nice communities. And we want those communities to be healthy, and we want them to be popular for places to come, and protecting the environment is part of that. You got to have a ratio.
So there's this thing called a conservation easement, and that's what you specialize in. And many of our listeners do not know what that means. And I know it's complicated, but a landowner, for instance, has the right to sell their property to whoever they want. And sometimes they're going to make big money off of it. And sometimes they have a conscience and they decide that this shouldn't be developed. And that's where you guys come in.
Well, and we try and make it so it's not just having a conscience. You and I are willing to kick in a little extra tax money so that some tax incentives can be made available to somebody that wants to protect their land. And it's really not too much more complicated than that. We want to help people protect their family land that they probably want to protect anyway. But let's help them a little bit with some tax incentives, because they're protecting their land helps all of us.
And what do you say to a person that says, I've got a $10 million offer from XYZ developer who's going to come in and put in tract homes and tear down all the trees? You all can't get me that amount of money.
I think we say to that person, That's your choice, but let's talk about a couple options. Developing that property comes with costs too, and sometimes those big plans don't always turn out. So you hear big numbers, but what's really going to happen? Here's a couple other alternatives. We can work a tax deal that allows you to protect that property, maybe develop parts of it, and end up in a better financial situation. We also, thanks to County Executive Steve Shue, have a new program exclusive to Anne Arundel County that's providing some additional incentive funds for protecting forested properties. And that can be at a minimum $3,000 an acre. So again, if we're competing with a $20 million development deal, we're going to lose. But if someone wants to consider some other options, you're not going to lose everything. There are great opportunities out there for you. And that's what we do. We hold people's hand and walk them through what this complicated process is all about.
All right, when we come back, we're going to hear about some success stories if you have some to talk about. This is Donna Cole. This is the 1430 Connection. We will be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Rick Leader, Executive Director of the Scenic Rivers Land Trust, and one of his board members, Scott MacMullan, a friend of mine, local attorney and podcaster. The name of your podcast, Scott?
It's the Annapolis Podcast. Thanks, Donna.
There you go, and we all enjoy it. Tell me some success stories you've had with conservation easements.
Well, as I mentioned, we've protected 62 properties in the county for over 2,700 acres, and there is no set template. They're all really, really different. So we have a beautiful farmette of 56 acres on the Patuxent that a widowed woman wanted to protect. We were able to give her some tax breaks. We were able to freeze that land exactly in the posture that she wanted it frozen in, which was a
That's
small
fabulous.
farmette. And we also were able to make it easier for her kids to inherit the property. Now, we also have some small little 15-acre parcels that are forested but happen to be near the water or near a county park, and we've been able to protect some of those. Our pride and joy is the Bacon Ridge Natural Area, which is behind the Crownsville Hospital. We're going to be talking about that a little bit more. We've protected land near the Smithsonian, near Jug Bay.
CERC,
all over
you're
the place.
saying Smithsonian Environmental. So all of this is in Anne Arundel County. Your mission
Everything
is
in
here.
Anne Arundel.
Okay.
Yep.
Even the Patuxent, which a lot of people don't realize.
A big chunk of the
Yeah,
Patuxent.
exactly.
And we're very excited about some of the potential in the Patuxent because a lot of the Anne Arundel side has not been developed.
Yeah. Actually, there's a field. My daughter used to play lacrosse over at Davidsonville, which
Sure.
is the Gators Park or something.
I think that's right.
What, it's beautiful.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
absolutely gorgeous. And anyway, back to this conserving space. How does if somebody is listening to this show now, they have a piece of property they want to protect in perpetuity, how do they reach you?
The easiest thing is to just give us a call at 410-424-4000, or they can go to my email directly at rick@srlt.org. And the first step is just a little chat to find out what their priority is for their property. Then we can explain some of these programs. What we really need to end up is on somebody's back porch or walking through the forest and talking a little bit about their vision for how they want their kids to see the property in the future, how their neighbors use the property, what's there. This is a non-threatening sort of approach that gives everybody a chance to investigate their options. Then we bring in people like Scott, and we've got 25 pages of legal documents that make this permanent over time, because that is important, but also that's what makes those very valuable tax incentives kick in, and potentially this new incentive program that the County Executive Shue created that will fund protection for forest properties.
All right. Now, one big area of concern nationwide, maybe globally, is farmland. How to protect that, because we see farmers having a tougher and tougher time making it and conserving those farms forever.
We love to talk to farmers and hear about their property, but the reality is there are state programs that are better for farmers than what we can offer. So if we think their property might qualify for one of their programs, we'll make the correct connections for them or help them explain to other people why their land is so valuable. But if I can find a better deal potential for them somewhere else, and they're in the ag community, there often is, we're just going to help them get to the right people.
It's so important because a lot of times people need help in any number of ways and have no idea where to turn. So you can be the first.
Yeah, we want to be the first call that says, "Hi, I'm Rick. Let's just chat and see what you have." Our board members go out and meet with people. We'll introduce them to neighbors that maybe have done something like this. We want to make this as non-threatening, as uncomplicated as possible.
Right. You are a 501c3, which means you are a nonprofit and you need help from the community to continue doing the important work that you're doing. Yes?
We spend a lot of our time out raising donations from this community. We get no state or federal money. It's all local donors that have kept us alive over the years, and we're very, very appreciative of that.
Not only donors, you also need volunteers to help with some of the programs, right?
We need volunteers with outreach. We need volunteers for programs. We need volunteers to help set up those small community meetings that often lead to a comfortable environment for a neighbor to learn about preserving their land.
So if you're into the environment and if you live on the Chesapeake Bay, you absolutely should, and you're looking for an organization to help, here you go. The website again is what, gentlemen?
SRLT.org.
And you're on Facebook?
Yes, we are.
We are.
Twitter?
I don't believe so.
Not yet.
We will now.
Soon.
Yes.
All right. When we come back, let's talk about Bacon Ridge Natural Area.
Yep.
Bacon Ridge Natural Area.
That's correct.
This is Donna Cole. This is the 1430 Connection. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Rick Leader, Executive Director of the Scenic Rivers Land Trust, and one of his board members, Scott MacMullan. We're talking about how to save our open space in perpetuity, because it's important to all of us.
Absolutely.
And one of the best ways to connect people to open space is what, Scott?
And it's really about awareness. So many people want to help want to conserve their land, but they don't know that things like conservation easements exist. And people like Rick Leader and Sarah, his outreach coordinator, are doing a great job. By the way, Rick Leader is the best name for an executive director at a nonprofit ever. He is the leader. He's a leader of conserving land in Anne Arundel County. So thank you, Rick. I went off on a tangent there. But I just want to say thank you.
Would you also agree that getting people out to some of these sites is important?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we do site visits, that sort of thing. You're always taking the board members out and walking and seeing the scenic rivers,
And coming up soon is an opportunity for the public to get out to a site they're not normally allowed to visit. Yes, Rick?
Yeah, this is an exciting time. We're celebrating spring, and we're sneezing a little bit, but mainly we're getting excited seeing that sun out there. And we're having our 12th annual Walk for the Woods at the Bacon Ridge Natural Area, which is a giant property, over 1,000 acres, behind the Crownsville Hospital property. And it's tucked behind there, and it's really kind of hard to get to.
And a lot of people don't know this exists.
Don't even know it exists. And so for 12 years, we've been conducting an annual walk there with the County Department of Recreation and Parks, partially to introduce the public to this property, but also to test and promote some ways that access can be developed in the future. So on Saturday, April 22nd, that's Earth Day this year, people can come out from 7 to 3. They can hike on their own on marked trails, or we have a great selection of guided hikes that they can take.
Let me hear about some of these guided hikes. Is there a bird hike?
We have bird hikes all morning. We have amphibian hikes. We have hikes that are designed to totally exhaust you, and hikes that are designed to be a casual stroll through the woods. We've got a history hike.
Oh, that's cool.
The county archaeology department is talking a little bit about the history of the area. We also have an ongoing thing during the day where aquatic critter discovery, it's called, where a group from Coastal Resources is down in one of the streams digging up some of the bugs and mucks and minnows and stuff that people love to play with.
So if you don't like frogs and snakes, you want to stay away from which of these?
That one right there is probably the one you want to stay away from. And you might want to join Janice Hayes Williams up at the historic Crownsville Hospital Cemetery, where she does a Say My Name ceremony that helps introduce people to the incredible history of the cemetery there. It is a cemetery from the patients of the hospital.
The hospital, okay.
Yeah.
Not far down the road, though. She also discusses the slave cemetery.
Yep.
Across the street from this area was a plantation where slaves were held.
Let Janice corner you, and she'll talk you to about 100
She was a former guest on the show, wasn't she?
She was one of my former, and on your podcast as well.
Yes,
She's amazing, and we value her in this area, absolutely. Shout outs for some of the other leaders of these journeys. journeys that day.
We have great volunteers from Fish and Wildlife helping us out that day. A lot of the local bird groups help us out.
Okay, hold on there. Why am I stopping him here, Scott?
You're a big bird fan.
To tease you about the birds, this is an Audubon designated important bird area. So it is a great place to come and see a wide variety of birds, and particularly on the early morning trips, which is one of the reasons dogs are welcomed at this event, but not until 10 a.m. and only on a leash
because
the
birds.
birders we're looking for in the morning.
Actually, on next week's show, for those listening, we will be having the people from the Maryland Bird Conservation on to talk about why these areas are so important and what birds are threatened. So it works well with this show.
Don, let me ask you a question. What's your favorite bird to take a picture of?
Oh my gosh,
in the air, so many.
I'm very into the raptors. So the bald eagles. I have 2 barred owls living on my property.
Okay.
I love them all. You know that we have some threatened migratory species that move through the area twice a year. So I love them all.
So what are you doing April 22nd? You're coming to walk for the woods.
I am coming to walk for the woods.
Yes.
I'm hooked into it this year. Absolutely.
I want to also thank our great president, Nita Fisher. She's doing a great job organizing this and just leading our organization. She does a great job.
I can't speak highly enough to go back to those owls and a personal experience. I did not get into the big birds or even bird photography until I had a personal connection with something out in nature, like my 2 barred owls that have given us now 2 broods of magnificent baby little barred owls. But so making this connection to nature, I can't speak highly enough of, to get out and enjoy a day like what you're doing on April 22nd. I just think it's so fantastic. You need this. You need to see why it's so important to set aside these lands for the generations to come. Where this is, speaking of the younger generation, it's a generation that looks at their phones. We need to get nature on Snapchat more, walks like this on Snapchat. Scott, I know you're a Snapchatter. I hope you're snapping this event.
I'm not Snapchatting as much as I used to, but yes, I will be taking pictures and following on social media.
Okay, if I come out, maybe I'll do some Snapchatting.
Okay.
All right, what have I missed, gentlemen? What's important to relay here?
Again, April 22nd. It's totally free admission. We'd really prefer that people go to our website and pre-register, because that makes life easier for us.
Right, so don't just show up at the door. Right.
You can just show up, but we'd prefer it. It makes it easier if you pre-register. And if you pre-register, you're entered into a raffle for a Swin Streamliner 2 bike donated by Bike Doctor,
nice.
So a little more incentive.
Right.
All the instructions are on the website that tell you how to find this place and what happens during the day. As I mentioned before, dogs are welcomed after 10. Bike riding is not permitted on this day. We do want to caution everybody that this is not a playground. These trails can be a little rough and muddy depending on the weather.
And so wear good trail boots.
Yeah, and there is a chance, again, you can take a hike that will send you to a quick nap, or you can just wander around and have fun with your kids.
And this goes rain or shine, yes?
Rain or shine, 7 to 3.
All right, and again, website one more time.
SRLT.org.
And you will always be looking for donations from the public or help from the public with volunteering. Are there any other events throughout the year we should know about?
This is our main event.
Okay.
We're not really in the event business. We're in the land business. We have a staff of 2. We do a couple hikes and a couple paddles during the year, but we have nothing on the schedule quite yet. But we always, part of what we want to do with this event is introduce people to our website where we announce all kinds of interesting things.
Super. Rick and Scott, thank you so very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Donna Cole. This was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us for the 1430 Connection. If you missed a part or want to catch more or listen to it again, it is on the on-demand section of our website at 1430wnav.com. You can also find it on our WNAV News, YouTube, and as always, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at 1430 WNAV. We'll see you next week.